Okay, I want to move into discussion of the Eastern standings because the fourth place Indiana Pacers, I believe, sit at 16-16. I know they're 500 for sure. I'm just not entirely sure of their exact record. And then I know that the Miami Heat in 10th place, the Pacers are 15-15. So pardon me, the Miami Heat sit at 15-17. So one game essentially separates fourth from 10th in the East. Got teams all mashed in together in that section, and it doesn't feel like it's going to change anytime soon. You've got teams flip-flopping each other with maybe a couple wins in a row, a couple losses in a row, but then they'll get back in it. So it's going to be really interesting to follow this Eastern Conference as this mishmash continues to move in sync. It's like a peloton in the Tour de France, and you've even got the Wizards now on a bit of a heater. I think they've won 6 of their last 7 and have pulled themselves into the conversation as well. So a huge glut of teams in the Eastern Conference, all like not great, but they're there.
And just no consistency in like who they're winning against and who they're losing to.
Yeah.
Like some of them beating the best teams in the West and then like losing to the worst teams in the East or West. It's really hard to make a read on who's situated to keep the momentum they gather because it seems to come and go with like no determined consistency pattern or findable causes.
And even like if one of these teams in this mix has a hot streak where they go 8-2 or 7-3 or 12-5, something like that, then they could actually catch up to Milwaukee, whose record is kind of hovering just above that like lava pit of teams. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out going forward. The second half of the season is going to be an absolute grind for most of these teams, playing a bunch of games in not that many nights. That's just what happens when you have to shorten the season. So I kind of am happy that no Raptors got named the All-Star team because they get a full week off to rest and recover, which Kyle hasn't done in quite a few years. And I know him and Fred just play a ridiculous amount of minutes. Pascal Siakam was absolutely burnt out at the end of that Miami game. Nurse had to rest him until there was like a minute left because just he had no more legs. And that's what's going to happen when you're playing a bunch of games and not that many nights. So just another thing to keep an eye on. And then the last thing I want to talk about, just because it happened last night, and he has been on an absolute tear, is Zion Williamson. I've already talked about it a little bit, how they've made adjustments. He's becoming more of a ball handler on the perimeter. They're setting a lot of small screens for him with like a JJ Redick or Alonzo Ball. But again, last night against Milwaukee, like his like bounce is truly back, I think, from what it was in college. And he had to go through these biomechanical adjustments to his walk and how he was jumping, and they tried to fix it so it could be more sustainable in the NBA. And like last night, he was dunking everything. He got up for a fantastic swat on a layup attempt. He just looks so explosive. And he's like, again, he's 60 games into his NBA career, not even full season, and he's figuring things out. But in his last 9 games, he's averaging 30.5 points. He's averaging 6 rebounds, 4 assists. You'd like the rebounds to be a little bit higher from him, especially when they go smaller on the court with Willie Hernan-Gomez at the 5. He's shooting 68% from the field. And the free throw percentage has gone up, which is really great because teams are going to start to foul him as he attacks the rim, and you can already see him bringing 4 or 5 guys to the ball when he goes to the rim and kicking out for shooters. Like he's just a bowling ball. So fun to watch him. And they played a really tight game against Milwaukee last night, and it's actually a bad matchup for him because of Milwaukee's defense, where they basically sit the center back and give up mid-range jumpers. And so it was Zion going at a kind of a wall of defenders. He got blocked quite a few times, especially there was one critical. He got blocked late in the game, and it led to a Giannis dunk on the other end. But that's what's going to happen when you're a kid still kind of working through early NBA stuff. And to be as productive as he has been in a very short amount of time, I just this like the people were getting low on him because he looked chonky and some of the weight issues, some of the athleticism issues. It looks like he's figuring things out, and there's no ceiling on this kid. He's going to be super, super special. And so looking forward to continue to watch him and see if he does anything special in the All-Star game. Maybe he'll pull out some of those dunk attempts he tried in the Rising Stars game last year that had people standing up and he didn't even finish them. Maybe he'll finish them in this game. So it'll be fun to watch him. And shout out to Chris Middleton, who wasn't named an All-Star, but really took over late in that game against the Pelicans and got the win for the Bucks. That does it for me for the NBA storylines. Looking forward to continue to follow this action over the weekend. Got some good games lined up on deck as we do every weekend. But yeah, it's been fun so far, and this season's been really entertaining despite lack of fans, and gonna keep breaking it down for you as we go along.